Thanks for tuning in. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, and I am Dennetra Williams from the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Fox Valley with the STAR program. This evening during Teen Talk, join Keira and Summer tonight during Lighthouse as they discuss how COVID-19 is affecting the LGBTQ plus community and talk about different LGBTQ plus resources, as well as myself, Tori and Keira with BSU, as we talk through issues surrounding the use of the N-word. We hope you enjoy everything we have planned for you today. Have fun, and we'll see you later.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lighthouse.
Yeah, we're so glad that you're here. Thank you for tuning in for week 3.
Yes.
Okay, week 3. Super cool. Last week we talked about the different colors of the pride flag, and so today I'm wearing blue, which stands for harmony. I thought about wearing yellow for sunshine because the day we're recording this is very gloomy, but you know, the harmony shirt is very nice.
It's so bright, and it's still
yeah. So today we thought we would talk a little bit about COVID-19 and how it's kind of affecting our community in unique ways, in ways that it's not affecting other communities, because I think that's, super important for us to acknowledge and talk about.
Absolutely. I guess to kick us off with that, kind of how is it affecting the LGBTQ community and especially youth? I know a lot of youth being stuck at home with parents or guardians that might not be very accepting. Keira, I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit more, on like what that looks like and how that can.
Yeah, I mean, some things that I think are true is that there are often safe adults at school or in after-school programs. If you have a parent at home who doesn't get it, it's easier to kind of get through the day when you know that at school you're going to see an adult who does get it. And now when we're not having school, to be at home with a family who might not get it, I think can be really, really stressful. And we all know that mental health is super important, but being under that stressful situation can kind of impact our mental health and make us feel down and blue and frustrated or angry. And I first want to say that those are totally reasonable ways to be feeling about a difficult situation. So if you've been feeling that way, you're not crazy, you're not wrong or bad.
Not alone.
You are allowed to feel that way. And I think something that I read on the Trevor Project website, right? The Trevor Project exists to support queer youth around the country. I guess they've been getting twice the amount of calls since the pandemic started than they normally would have been. So it's definitely, I think, affecting our community and affecting you, our youth. So we wanted to just first acknowledge that what you're going through. I mean, a pandemic is hard enough. Right?
Absolutely.
Right, and add all of these other things on top, it is very challenging.
Definitely, and I mean for everybody too. Like we knew before too that LGBTQ, the community in general, youth were more at risk for mental health struggles. So even now when we're all stuck at home and it's really heightened, we definitely just want to make sure that you guys know that as we're missing those supports at school, you still have supports in the community. Like Keira mentioned, the Trevor Project, they have a hotline that you can text. I will just kind of go ahead and give you that phone number right now, so you guys know that it is available for you 24/7. You can text it. They also have a phone number you can call, but I feel like texting is a little more chill. It's not as awkward. So you can text it 678678. That you can text the Trevor Project, and they are here to support LGBTQ plus youth. Always, but especially during this time, you can get in touch with them 24/7. So,
yep.
Little plug.
And I want to say about that resource, they are trained to help you.
Yes.
They are really trained to help you, and they want to help you. You will not be burdening them. You will not be giving them something they can't handle. Just, if you feel like you're in crisis, or if you're just having a bad day, just text them and chat with them for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then another thing too is we know that 40% of runaway and homeless youth are LGBTQ+. And I know during this time, this is a really stressful time, and families don't understand sometimes, and your parents or guardians might not get it. So also, like, if you're in a stressful situation and you just can't handle it anymore and you're thinking about running, and you're local to the Fox Valley area, we have the Runaway and Homeless Youth Services hotline that you can call or text it. So that phone number is 920-731-0557, and you'll get a team member from the Boys and Girls Club, so it'll be a friendly face. Kate Church actually has the phone right now, so she'll be picking it up, and she can get in touch, and she can talk you guys through some support with that too. So I always like to plug that phone number as well.
Yeah, that's a really important resource for our community too. And I think something that I also want to speak to is that even if you don't feel like you're like at the end of your rope, you might just be having a hard time. And so and that makes sense, right? Like it all makes sense that all of this is a pretty intense time. So I think it would be good if we just maybe talked about what we're doing to kind of keep ourselves grounded and relatively sane. And then maybe you can write into our Teen Talk Safe Space email and tell us what you guys are doing or what you all are doing to help yourself feel okay and grounded and balanced. I know for me, I am making sure that I get outside time. We're really lucky in the Fox cities that it's not quite as crowded as a place like New York. So we can, I'm looking out my window and I see green grass. And I see trees, and just being around green grass and trees scientifically boosts your brain. It's a brain boost. If you spend 10 minutes walking around the block, I know it makes me feel better when I've spent some time outside. Coloring pages are really calming and pretty, right? So it's like this, like you're kind of using your brain but resting at the same time and creating something beautiful. I know that listening to music is helping me too, and singing helps me too. So if you have like a little piano or something at home, creating music. And then the last thing I'm doing is reaching out to friends who get it, right? Just for that extra added support when I'm not feeling so good. How about you, Summer?
That's so important during these times. Like, I don't know what I would do without my like good solid like friend group that I can just text or FaceTime or just to let them know, check in on your friends. They probably need you too. But yeah, I mean, outside time's been really important to me too. I take my dog for a walk, give him a little, this is Simba. He's been a very big impact in my sanity during this time.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Yeah, he is really like, I take him for walks, we play, it's great. It keeps me super busy. So he's a puppy still, so it's kind of like having a child. But outside time, definitely. I do a lot of FaceTime. I play some online games, which really helps me sometimes just kind of get out of my head. But yeah, I've been feeling like I thrive on routine. And when I don't have a routine, it really like just throws my whole life kind of just around. So when we were told that we weren't going to be coming back to work and it was going to be online and like all of this was happening, and I'm in grad school too, and that turned into online, and it all just kind of went like, whoa. And so it's been super important for me to just like, I get up and I do my hair, I get ready, I put on a legit outfit and not just sweatpants and my PJs, clean, and I just kind of do things that keep my routine somewhat normal. So
yeah, I think for real, it's easy during this time to I think let your sleep get kind of funky. And that's been something that I've been really, really trying hard to make sure that I get in bed at a reasonable hour and then I wake up at a reasonable hour, just so that it still feels kind of normal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely that routine part. Like I could probably stay up till 2 a.m. watching TV if I didn't like put that like, all right, like I gotta act like this is a normal work night where I have to get up and get ready for work in the morning. So it definitely helps. So I hope everyone is staying busy and has those things that are keeping you guys grounded during this time to kind of take you out of your head. I know it can definitely be pretty stressful and pretty. I mean, it's so uncertain, and no one's been through this before, really. So we're all in this together.
I do want to make a really quick plug for an Instagram that is so uplifting and calming for me. The Instagram is Jeffrey Marsh. And Jeffrey Marsh is a queer advocate, model, actor, writer, and they are so cool and like,
I'm going to follow you now.
You're like perfect queer mom. Like they are such a cool person. So just go look up Jeffrey Marsh. They have a ton of little videos on Instagram that are like uplifting and encouraging and beautiful.
It looks awesome already.
Yeah, and they serve some looks, like some capital L looks. So
I love it.
Yes. Okay. Until next week, y'all. Take care of yourselves, drink your water, spend some outside time, and reach out if you need help. And remember, we have the Teen Talk Safe Space email if you want to reach out to either of us.
Yep, reach out. Take care, you guys. Stay healthy, stay safe. We will see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Have a great night.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to BSU, everyone. It's Dennetra Williams with the Appleton North Star program. Hey!
I'm Keira at Kaleidoscope Academy.
And I am Tori with the STAR program.
Sweet. So last week we were talking about how to keep ourselves well, right, during this pandemic. And we talked about Kismikia, Corbett, who is like saving the world right now with her super cool science and vaccine studies. What do we want to talk about this week?
Well, I don't know if anyone else had some ideas, but I was on a very interesting Google Meet with a few of my students yesterday, and the topic of the N-word came up. And it went into some interesting directions. And I would be interested to hear what everyone else thinks about, should we not use it? I mean, what's the deal?
That's interesting.
Yeah. It was intense conversation.
Yeah, I bet.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall during that meeting to just hear, the things that were being brought up. So,
One of the things that I said in the conversation is I know many of our Black youth use it. I know that some African Americans have adopted it as a term of endearment to, strip it of its power. But for me, and this is just speaking from I statements, I am just not a big fan of it because of the trauma associated with it for our community and the history of it. And when the students were talking about it, I mentioned that I'll admit, when I was a teen, I used it for a little bit, and I was like, let's be clear, just a couple years until I went off to college and taking all those African American studies classes, understanding the history behind it and how hard our ancestors fought to get away from that oppressive language. I just find it very difficult reverting back to using it like it's cool. For me personally, I don't allow anyone to call me that, no matter what color your skin is. If you say that to me in passing, or if you say it around me, I'll be like, hey, do we have to use that word? Or if you call me that, I'll be like, dude, that is not my name. So, that's just me personally. The youth had some different things to say on it, some different things. But that's just me personally.
Yeah. I think, Dennetra, I would agree with you in terms of the personal choice. I went to a very, very white high school, where almost all of the Black kids in my high school were chartered for sports, and that's just the type of place that school was. And I got called that in the hallways. People thought that was funny. White kids would use it to bait me. And I obviously really did not like that at all. And so I also make the personal choice not to use it and not to say it. But I do think that it's like, that's my choice, and I don't feel like I can make that choice for other Black people, whether they should or shouldn't have a certain relationship with that word.
It's interesting because, like, growing up, that we couldn't use a word in the house, just like every other explicit word. You just couldn't use it, so we really didn't hear it, at home. But like through growing up, going to school, listening to different songs, you hear it in there, and I hear that being used as an argument now is, oh, well, this rapper said it. But also in a lot of music that's being put out there, there's other things that's being said that at least in my opinion, in my mind, if I hear somebody say something, I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying that because, and it doesn't have to be the N-word. It can be them doing whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying that because I'm not doing that, So when I hear the N-word in the music, I'm like, and it takes me back to that, should this word be used, and I remember always having conversations about the N-word, and I will always say, it's one of those words that I personally cannot explain. Hearing from people who are not Black, asking questions, why is it okay that Black people use it? Some Black people, not all. And then, talking with, Black people saying like, it's okay to use it in the Black community. It's really interesting. And I feel like I'm just going back and forth with it. But one of the things, recently, probably about a few years ago, I can't really remember, I was listening to something about slave narratives. And it was the use of the N-word, and hearing those people that were enslaved talk about, or just using the N-word and how they view themselves, it really struck me, and it just made me look at the word differently now. So when I hear that word being tossed around, I'm like, if we knew what that meant to our ancestors, if others knew what that meant, would that word still be used? So again, like I said, it's interesting in terms of, should this really, why? And just like you said earlier, Dennetra, taking it back as a term of endearment, but then it makes me think, I don't want my friends to refer to me as that because you love me. Instead of you using that word, use something else like queen, something else like I just love you. You don't have to use that word to express how much you care for me, how much you love me. But it's also like, I get it in terms of I see how it's being used and I see that it's being made like okay. But then when you look at all these other words out there that's derogatory to other people, I don't see those people taking those words back saying, I'm going to refer to you as this. And it's like, why? Again, I'm not saying that's the entire Black community. I'm not saying that's the entire world using derogatory terms to make it okay for them. But I'm like, why us? So it's interesting.
I definitely agree with that. That is a very, very valid point, Tori, that I never even thought about. Being a Black American, I do tend to focus on my own community and have a tendency not to be as aware of what's going on in other cultures and communities. But you're absolutely right. I'm not going to drop any of the words, but I've never heard another person of color refer to their friend in this derogatory slang that other people use to describe their community. And I do feel that to me, it's hurtful and it saddens me. I think so much of it comes from what you said, Tori, that not you, Tori, but some people just are unaware of the history behind the word. And I personally, I hate that it's in music. And I know, Tori, you done been in the car with me before listening to music. If a song has too much profanity, too many N-words dropping in it, I'm turning it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want my child listening to it, but I don't want to hear that. I don't think it's cool. And I do feel that the media and music is given a false illusion that it's okay to use that word. I have been, and people use it without even hesitation when they're standing beside you. I have been standing beside other people who were talking to their non-black friends and they are not black and they are just like throwing it around like it's cool. And I'm like, dude, do you not see me standing here? That is so offensive and disrespectful. And it made it clear to me that it's a part of their normal language day to day, that they're not even considering the people around them.
Yeah, that's I can see that.
I wonder about intention behind the word, because something that I notice is that sometimes people will use it in mixed company, and what that cues is that it's okay for non-black people to use that word, which of course it's not. I had a teacher in college tell us about slurs in the queer community, which is itself a reclaimed, that the word queer is pretty controversial in that community, that if the word would be used against me, then I'm allowed to use it. If someone would say it to me and then like punch me and use it as a slur, as a weapon, then I'm allowed to reclaim it. But if that wouldn't happen to me, then it's not my word to use. But when we use it in mixed company, then it signals that it's just like okay in casual conversation for anybody, as opposed to using it really specifically in just black spaces. For me, that makes a real difference.
It's one of those things too that, if I'm around just all black people and then a word is being used, in my mind I'm still like, it's like that word just kind of sticks out and I'm like, okay, this is something that's frequently used. But then I still have the question, like, is this okay? Like, should we be using this? And I'm not making the assumption that all black people know where the word came from, because I've heard like thousands of different stories of where the word came from, but I still think like, should this be something that, we are okay with using? I'm gonna keep saying, it's just interesting. I don't get how a word that was used to bring people down, a specific group of people down, and we're taking it to say, okay, but I'm gonna use that to say I love you. But also in that same context, I can use this word to put you down. And it's like, wait, what? That's like using the word love. How can love be used in the wrong way, but also being used in the right way? That really don't make sense.
I was thinking that same thing, Tori. And it's funny, we started to think too much alike. When you said love, I was like thinking that same thing, like you can't use love wrong. But I agree with both of you were saying, because I hear that in the hallways all the time. Walking through schools, you see a cluster of African American students throwing the word around. But North is only like 1% black. So who's likely walking by you? But you're using it and then you want to be upset. And this is one of the things that I said to the students, because the students were talking about their own discomfort with hearing non-black kids use the word. And the message I always give when people say that is the argument that they have is fair. How is it that you can use it but they can't? And of course I know the answer, but it's really a great ponderable question. If you don't expect anyone else to use it, then maybe you shouldn't use it either. I parent that way, and as a person, I'm that way. I'm not a do as I say. How's the phrase go? Practice what you preach. We'll just go with that one. I'm a practice what you preach kind of person overall, and I know that I don't want you calling me that, so I'm certainly not going to call you that. And I think that's just an important message. No matter, Keira makes a good point, though. It's for you to decide for yourself. But whatever you decide is unreasonable. I don't want to say it's unfair. It's unreasonable to determine that no one else can use it if you're using it regularly, in my opinion.
It's almost like taking a magic wand and making everyone know where the word comes from, what it meant. Okay, now, thoughts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's something that I think about often is like, in what context are we using it? Are we just throwing it around? Am I using it to address a specific person? Am I using it to convey a specific emotion? Because something else that I'm thinking about right now too is that I think it's great to say I love you when I mean that. Like if that's what I mean, then I can say that. But I'm also thinking about the way that expressing emotion has been policed in our community, right? In different ways for different parts of our community. But this idea that we might be perceived as weak or effeminate that's not always safe, right? To be perceived as like touchy-feely and really soft and emotional. And so I wonder if part of the reclamation of this term for some people is an ability to express that love without appearing in this really vulnerable way, like an ability to be vulnerable without using words that are typically associated with vulnerability.
That's a good point. Before we wrap it up and close, I want to say something I didn't say because I didn't want to cut you off. But before we say goodbye, I just want to say, Keira, I'm so sorry you had to experience that in high school. No person should ever have to walk through the hallways and be emotionally attacked that way. And my heart goes out to you. You came out strong on the other end, but many of our youth don't. Many of our youth don't. So.
Yeah, and I know that this happens in our high schools here, so.
Well, thank you all for joining us and listening to our BSU podcast. Hey, we look forward to seeing you back next Tuesday.
Peace.
See ya.
Good night, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed all the content offered as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you this evening here at the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Fox Valley Teen Talk. We miss you all very much, and from the staff at the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Fox Valley, we like to say be well, be safe, and be you, because you're the best at it.